welcome back. Old flames or just sparks? So, everybody's not on Facebook and everybody can't even be Googled. Last night, before I went to bed, I took a peek at my home page and apparently no one wants to be my friend. The only thing I see is a photograph of an old school and a bold letter that says 40th class reunion. Have I really been out of high school for 40 years? I'm almost ashamed to admit I've only been to one reunion, and that was the 10th, and I left early. By the 20th, I'd pretty much forgotten about high school, for the same reasons you don't reminisce about kindergarten when you're headed to middle school. Nevertheless, I decided right here, I decided right here, right now, that I'm going to this one. Why? I don't know. I RSVP'd. Besides, it's a whole year away. I have no idea, what to expect or if I even remember some of the nerds and sluts I graduated with. What I remember most about high school is heat, tumbleweed, and dust. I was popular, but not well liked because the word had gotten around that the reason I was in so many honor classes was that I skipped 2 grades in elementary school, putting me in the same grade as Roger, my older brother, who decided to skip college to join the Army, which is how we lost him at 22. There weren't very many black kids in my high school, and I often felt lonely. I'm so full of shit. I was just bored to death. By my senior year, I was tired of all the do-nothing clubs, can't wait to flip my tassel. I generated even more adversaries once the word got out that I wasn't going to Cal State Bakersfield, but rather to University of California in San Francisco. Bitch. But that's all behind me. I now have got a damn good incentive to lose 20 pounds by this time next year. I log out or off, whatever. So, since Wanda opened her big mouth about the order I should consider looking up the 5, but probably 7 men I love, I'm also curious about how many I've had sex with. Since my social calendar isn't exactly backed up this evening, I've decided to dig out my old phone book to see how many of these guys I can resurrect. Back in the day, I used to save every single phone book and bought a new one only when the pages started falling out or when so many folks had been crossed out because either they moved too many times or their number had changed so many times, which meant it had probably been disconnected for non-payment, mine included. And sometimes I had to look in my own phone book to remember my new number. I always wrote the date the new book started and ended on the back cover with a magic marker, which is why I never brought a black book. I put my current address on the inside page so I'd be able to remember where I lived when I got old and nostalgic like I'm feeling now. Last but not least were the people I just wanted out of my fucking life for no reason or another, so I either draw lines through their names or a wide X or scribble so hard I sometimes rip right through the page and shred the person on the other side. This left many a phone book looking more like a scratch pad, which is what forced me to buy a new one. Times have sure changed. As I grow older, I realize there's something to be said for nostalgia and not getting rid of stuff that holds memories, which is pretty much your personal anthropology and can document your evolution on so many levels. The same can also be said for all photographs. I separated them by what I called my wonder years from all the branches and leaves that constituted my entire family. I have some cracked black and white photos of my grandparents, who were slaves in Alabama and Mississippi. For stupid reasons, I tossed my yearbooks a long time ago. I didn't want to remember those folks, and I also hated my pictures. I was not even close to cute when I was young. This was, of course, before I discovered makeup. And I don't want to question my hairstyles back then because it'll just make me think about headbands. I go downstairs to the guest room and open the closet. And there's the cheap black trunk I took with me when I went away to college. Before I can slide it out, I have to move 2 big red boxes that hold all my special Christmas ornaments. I haven't had a tree in 2 years since Frankie's been at NYU. I'm not feeling like a tree this year either. Santa doesn't stop at my house anymore. I still leave my porch light on at Halloween because I don't ever want to think I've given away my last treats. I figure I should probably get a little buzz to do this. And as much as I would love it if Wanda and Violet were here so we could stroll down memory lane together, I probably need to do this alone. Plus, they don't know everything I did or who I did it with. They only think they do. After I slide the trunk and a few boxes across this purple carpet, I run upstairs and pick out a decent enough bottle of Chardonnay and grab a cheap wine glass and run back downstairs. I pour myself a glass and drink half of it standing up. I turn the intercom to Pandora, not really caring what genre it is, but as soon as I hear Single Ladies by Beyonce, I do know I'm not in the mood for hip hop, so I turn it to the channel that plays music that makes me feel like either floating in space or underwater. I kick off my Uggs and sit on the floor right in front of the closet door that now may never close until I move out of this house. I reach over and lift the top of the trunk and look down inside and am shocked at how neat everything is. The first thing I grab is a big Ziploc that's full of cards and letters. Since my mother never wrote me any letters, I know these are either to or from some of them. I toss this over near the blue bed. I have a feeling this is going to be fun. My cell phone shivers on the carpet. I pick it up. It's my oldest. Hi, Mom. What are you doing? I don't really know how to answer that, and I hate it when people ask me. What if you're not doing anything? Then you have to explain how you're doing nothing? But I also don't want to tell Estelle the truth, so I lie. I'm reading. What are you reading? Shit, nosy posy. 1,000 Places to See Before You Die. I say, because it's on a table next to the bed. I want my guests to travel and then dream about it when they stay over. She laughs. And what page are you on? It's where? I'm in Bora Bora. That's in French Polynesia. See, it does pay to go to college. So what's up with you, honey bunny? Nothing, just reaching out. You never just reach out, Estelle. What's going on? Well, remember, you're my mother, and periodically it's normal for me to want to call and just say hi. Hi again. But we just talked a few days ago. Is there something going on? No, everything is copacetic. Have you heard from Frankie? Not for a week. Why? For some strange reason, she sent me a text and said she's madly in love. She never texts me. What's this one's name? Hunter. Is he white? The last 2 were, so why would she switch up now? You won't see me at her wedding. I don't care who she marries. Oh, stop it, would you, Estelle? Frankie's the one who needs to stop. She didn't come to mind because she was supposedly studying film in Paris. She's also a dingbat and a spoiled brat with a host of undiagnosed issues. I refuse to react to this. Estelle never has anything positive to say about her sister, and there's nothing wrong with Frankie other than being young and foolish. Estelle had been mad at Frankie since she was born and stole all Estelle thunder and attention from Niles. So tell me, how are the twins and Justin? I asked. Everybody's doing great. We might want to come visit you in the next couple of weeks. Is that okay? The whole clan? No, just me and the girls. Lord, help me. They're a handful and they get on my nerves, but I probably shouldn't blame them for acting like kids when it's my patience level that seems to be diminishing right along with my hormone levels. That'll be fun, I say, with as much enthusiasm as I can. And you're sure everything is all right? For the last time, everything's fine, Mom. I'd tell you if I wasn't. Okay then, let's talk again in a few days and kiss the girls for me. Estelle hardly ever calls just to chit chat, and her lightening into Frankie like this makes me think something else is going on. I just pray she's not having another baby, or she'll be stuck in that house forever. Before I get a chance to take anything out of the trunk, the phone trembles again. This time I look to see who it is, and of course, it's Wanda's. It's Wanda. What do you want, huzzy? I'm bored, and I need to get out of the house. Then go stand outside. Pour me a glass of whatever it is you're drinking. I'll see you in 20 minutes. I finished pulling out all the scrapbooks and phone books and lined them up to form what winds up being a very short history. I set aside the scrapbooks that have photos of my brother and the card he gave me when he left for the army. A few years ago, probably close to 5, Ma gave me 4 of these photo albums and said, there's probably a million hours of my life and my parents' lives cracked and stuck to these pages. And I promised I'd have all the pictures in newspapers and magazines clippings scanned and digitized, and some of them colorized. I'm ashamed I haven't done it. But I'm going to make good on that promise before it's too late. Excuse me. I take a long, lazy sip of wine and decide I should just dive on into this trunk. I open it, and the first thing I pull out is a handwritten letter in what I can tell is my handwriting. Oh hell, I say to the empty room as I unfold it. I grab my glasses, which are parked between my breast, and read, Darnell, do me a favor and do not call me ever again in life, since you seem to keep getting me confused with your other whores. I am not a cheap date. One day, if you're lucky enough to grow up, maybe you'll learn what it means to respect the female species and not assume that just because you happen to be good in bed, it's enough, because it isn't. I had better. You're one of the reasons the phrase, he's a dog, was invented. If there are ever any classes on self-respect and respect for women, I suggest you enroll in them both. Have a fucked up life, Georgia. Okay, Georgia. I tipped over from laughing so hard I should have made a greeting card out of this letter and used it for a whole bunch of these bastards. I set this declaration aside and continue my scavenger hunt. There are plenty of cards, Valentine's, birthday cards from Michael's sorry ass, but these were when he was sweet and perfectly still loved me. Then there's a separate 1-gallon freezer bag full of corny cards from Niles that I knew he put absolutely no thought into, because there were always white women with blonde hair on the front of them. When I hear the doorbell, I push myself to a standing position and head upstairs. Coming, I yelled while dancing to an unidentifiable beat that's obvious not coming out of the speakers. This is just one more reason I like wine. I open the door and Wanda walks past me in a blinding orange muumuu that must have once belonged to her mother. I close my eyes and put my hands on my hips. Well, with that get up, you've come to the right place since I'm strolling down nostalgic lane. What has gotten into you, Miss Thang? I was sitting in my favorite chair just stitching away, and Nelson was snoring on the sofa, and the dogs were snoring on the other end, and some stupid football game was on, and I suddenly got this overwhelming feeling of boredom. So that's when I called you. Where's the wine, or did you drink it all? Let's go see, I say, and follow her to the bar. As she stands on her toes to reach one of my fine wine goblets meant for real guests, I tell her what I'm doing and explain that I'm looking for the fish I had to throw back, and she just shakes her head and pops the cork on a good bottle. Then we head downstairs, the hem of that moo making her walk like she's in a beauty pageant or something. Throw that damn dress in the trash, I say. Even my mother doesn't go this far, Wanda. You're right. I don't know what possessed me to buy it. Because you're possessed when you shop, that's why. I warn her how the room looks, and when we walk in, she stands there with her hands on her orange hip and say, "So, they're all in here somewhere, huh?" I sit on the floor and she sits in a white armchair. "Why are you playing that funeral music?" "It's called chill music." "Yeah, more like embalmed. We need some R&B music from the 70s and 80s since that's where we're going." I get up and change it to smooth jazz. "Now, we're going to need some reefer." "Whatever. So who've you run across so far?" "Nobody." "I see you call yourself trying to hide that scrapbook I made for your and Michael nuptials under the bed, and it's still beautiful if I do say so myself. It's falling apart. Those ruffles are crushed flat and the plastic has cracked. And no, I do not want you to repair it." I hand her a scrapbook she didn't make, and after taking a sip, she set her glass on a little table and starts slowly flipping through the pages. I do the same. "What year is this?" she asks, turning it around. In the photo, I have a giant afro and a long denim skirt I made from old jeans and some kind of drapery fabric with giant flowers on it I sewed in the middle. Damn, I was skinny. "The 70s, don't you remember that skirt?" Where in the hell is your bra?" I look a little closer. "You know that was when it was cool not to wear one, but I think you slept in your Playtex." I fall over laughing and almost knock my wine over, but I catch it. "Go straight to hell, Georgia." "Wait a minute. Who is this headless guy?" She holds up the book, and some tall guy in gray bell bottoms and what looks like chubby checker white shirt, whose head I ripped off, is standing with his arms around me. "Oh, that's Thomas. You never met him. He's from Bakersfield and took me to my senior prom and then left with another girl." Believe it or not, that happened to me. "You're lying, Georgia." "If I'm lying, I'm flying. He was weird." Her eyes ask, "What kind of weird?" "Maybe I'll see him next year at the reunion. I can hardly wait. Keep turning the pages. You're bound to find another one." I pick up a phone book with a peacock on the front. The date on the upper right-hand corner is smudged, but I know that this is my first year in college, which meant it was also my very first phone book, because prior to leaving home, I knew everybody's number by heart. "You know what?" Wanda says, even though it's obviously not really a question. "This is boring as hell and feels like a complete waste of time." I was sitting here thinking the same thing. I mean, if I don't remember some of these guys, they're not memorable. "What do you have to eat around here? And please don't tell me chips and salsa. I can eat that at home." "Well, you're in luck. I brought some smoked salmon and added watermelon radish and shallots and ginger vinaigrette and stuffed it inside 2 avocado halves. Take it or leave it." "You have any crackers or anything to go with it?" "Maybe. Check the pantry." When are you ever going to turn on your damn stove and invite somebody over for dinner? It's no fun cooking for one. Then invite some damn body over. We all miss that weird shit you used to make. It was amazing. We want to be your guinea pigs again." "Okay," I say as she picks up her hem and starts heading upstairs. "By the time you get back, I'll have a list of the ones I had sex with, since I spotted quite a few of them in my phone book." Do you really care how many guys you fucked? Yes. Why? Because I want to have a general idea how active I was back in the day. You should remember that. Good or bad? You were an active whore in the story, which is why this feels like a complete waste of time. Let's watch King Kong. I wish I could find a man like King Kong. Is that a no? It's a no. I'm going to get a better bottle of wine while you come up with your long ass list. You can't drive home with this much alcohol in your system, Wanda. Who said I was going home? I'm sleeping in Frankie's bed. I want Nelson to wonder if I finally left him. Yeah, right. Like that would ever happen. Their hearts are glued together, and off she goes. I grabbed the yellow pad I brought down here and started writing as fast as possible. By the time Wanda gets back, I think I'm finished. She snatches the paper from me, start counting softly with her index finger. You slut. There's like 20 fucking names here. My grocery list isn't this long. I'll bet Violet's is twice this long. Wanda goes down the list, shaking her head and laughing. Tell you what, let's play a new form of Jeopardy. There's only one category. We already know what it is, so I'll say his name and you try to describe him in one word, but no more than 3 or 4. Just tell me why he stuck out, okay? Nathan. Shouldn't have been the first. That's 5 words, Georgia. I roll my eyes at her, stand up, and start walking in circles. Darnell, first one to break my heart. How old were you? Don't ask me questions, you'll ruin the flow. Okay. Dennis, dumb as a post. David, no ambition. Wardell, came in 30 seconds. James number 1, ladies man. James number 2, bisexual. Brad, we already know he was a thief. Mark, mama's boy. Elijah, pathological liar. Thomas, freak. Good freak or bad freak? I ignore her. Graham, arrogant. Aaron, boring. Abraham, well. Philip, married. Frederick, inconsiderate. Harold number 1, another freak and vain. Harold number 2, bad hygiene. Glenn, vulgar. Steve, cowardly. Horace, no comment. She tossed the list to the side. Well, that was fun. These crackers are stale and that avocado stuffing was cute, but I'm still hungry. Who is Horace? The only black man I ever slept with who almost didn't have a penis at all. Didn't have a penis at all. She spits out my wine. Shut up, Georgia. I couldn't even call it a pencil dick. It was a cocktail wiener. I felt sorry for the dude. What's Abram doing on this list? He probably shouldn't be. He was good at everything. Maybe because we didn't finish what we started. And that was a character defect? You're full of shit. I'm crossing him off. And she does. What about that white guy you had a crush on in undergrad? You mean Stanley? Don't play dumb with me. Yeah, Stanley. I didn't have a crush on him. I had sex with him. Why isn't he on this list? Because I didn't have a relationship with him. I told you back then how he wouldn't stop flirting with me, so I finally gave in. Since he was fine and I wanted to see what it was like to have sex with a white guy. And you liked it, if I remember correctly. It was outstanding, and he was very nice, and I discovered the stereotype is just that. But it was a 72-hour tryst I did under the condition that there be no strings attached. I tried to act like it never happened and did everything I could to avoid him, but it was hard since he was in my Afro-American history class. That was one long-ass quarter. I forgot about I forgot that's how you met. Back then, a whole lot of white folks suffer from guilt. Okay, so now my secrets are out in the open. Time to put this list on Facebook. You better not be serious, Georgia. I'm just kidding, Wanda. Damn. Stanley should be on this list, she says, and hands it back to me. I snatch it and scribble his name at the bottom, but don't know what to put next to it except white. So just for the record, would you ever consider dating a white guy now that we're in the 21st century? I've never really thought about it. My daughter seems to prefer white boys, and I'm not mad at her. But you know I love me some black men, especially black skin. I do too, but the only thing God made different about us is our skin color. Duh, you are too deep for me tonight, Wanda. I say as I toss the list into the trash can and step over the other stuff. All I'm saying is you certainly increase your eyes if you thought outside the black box, Georgia. A man is a man. What kind of real food do you have around here? I'm starving. Frozen lasagna. As a guest, do I have to microwave it myself? Yes, and then go home. I'm spending the night, remember? I give her the finger. She gives it right back to me. Okay, that's the end of this chapter. This girl, when she going down memory lane, it is hilarious. She know. she funny. She just need to chalk it up to she was having fun in those days, and she don't need to reminisce. I mean, she don't need to get in touch with none of them. But I like her friend Wanda. Wanda be keeping it real. I'm Wanda in the situation. I'm like, wow. But yeah, it's still time to tell. I mean, it's still, what am I trying to say? There's still time to find out if she's going to get in contact with any of them, or if she's going to ever have a contact with any of the ones she says she loved. Okay, well, until the next chapter, see ya. Bye.